We've got another dud of a Netflix action movie on our hands, but this one is a bit of a head scratcher because it has a good pedigree. It comes to us from the director of the Raid films, and it stars Tom Hardy, who is certainly no stranger to great action films like Mad Max Fury Road and Dunkirk. Let's talk about Havoc. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my movie review for the new Netflix film Havoc. This is streaming right now, and yeah, it's interesting that this one is so bad because it comes to us from Gareth Evans, who gave us the two Raid films, which the second one is okay, but the first one is like a touchstone of recent action films. It's certainly one of the biggest martial arts films in the last 20 or 30 years. And then you've got Tom Hardy, who's given us a lot of decent action movies. So we'll talk about the reasons why here in just a moment. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a subscriber already for Dan Reviews It, thank you so much for that. I love it when you guys return and check out my stuff. But if you're not, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell too, so you can get the alerts for all my video drops. And of course, just liking this video or commenting below, sharing it on your socials. That stuff all helps the channel out tremendously as well. All right, let's get to Havoc. So this involves a drug deal gone wrong, and a bruised detective played by Tom Hardy must fight his way through the criminal underworld to rescue a politician's estranged son, and in the process unravels a deep web of corruption and conspiracy that takes hold of the entire city. So Gareth Evans has directed a few films other than this and the two Raid films, but only I think two, and I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they are heavily action-based as well. But he wrote this as well as directing, and he wrote the Raid movies also. And so let's start with the script. It's terrible. The plot, look, I mean, the plot that I just read is okay. I mean, it's a bit generic, but it's all right. But what's done with it is so awful. The dialogue is terrible. The characters are so undercooked. And look, that was maybe one of my issues with the Raid, is that it was just nonstop action and there wasn't really any character development, or not a lot anyway. But look, there can be great movies where there isn't a whole lot of character development in the action realm, and I think Mad Max Fury Road is, one of those. I mean, there's almost no dialogue in that movie. It's very, very action heavy, and it's an excellent movie. But here, it's not all action. They actually try to develop the characters, but they're so badly written that it just never really happens. So that's a major part of why this is so bad. And then the acting itself. Look, Tom Hardy, when he first came on the scene, I was a huge fan. Even before movies like Fury Road and The Dark Knight Rises, he was in this great movie called Lawless, that I think that was the first time I saw him. I was like, wow, like, who is this dude? He can really bring it. And then his career since, I don't know, probably about Dunkirk, like the mid 2010s, it's really kind of ebbed and flowed. He was in the Bike Riders last year, which I really liked, but like the Venom movies are just bad. But again, I'm like, well, maybe it's not Tom Hardy's fault. Like, the Venom movies are not written well. So how much of this relies on Tom Hardy being a great actor? I don't know, because the characters are so undercooked, it barely matters. So maybe this is not his fault. And Forrest Whitaker is in this as well. Great actor. He's done some great things, but his character barely registers either. So maybe it's just that all the dialogue and the characters are terrible. Okay, so maybe it's not Tom Hardy's fault. All right, well, let's look at the action portion then, because like I keep saying, the Raid, at least the first one, well, both of them really, were sort of masterclasses in martial arts action films, and great directing from Evans, in some close-knit spaces in those films. But here we sort of eschew a lot of hand-to-hand combat stuff for guns and gun violence and machine guns and big gun shootouts. And I don't know if it was just the sheer volume of them or the literal volume of them with the sound mixing, but I was like getting a headache from all of the gunplay, because none of it. First of all, I didn't care about any of the characters, so they could have killed them all in the first half hour, and I would have been fine with that. But there are some scenes that just go on and on and on with the machine gun violence, and it's ratcheted up so loud with the sound mixing that really it was quite annoying. And I kept thinking, like, dude, this guy did the raid. Where are the hand-to-hand combat scenes? I mean, there's a couple here, and finally we get a really good one towards the end of the movie. It's not. I don't think it's the last action sequence, but it's one of them. It's towards the end of the movie, and it was really good. And I was like, man, okay, this is what I've been waiting for like an hour and a half with this darn movie. We finally get it. It's well directed. It's well choreographed. It's like, okay, this is the director of the raid here. This other version of Gareth Evans, I don't know. But this is what I've been waiting for this whole movie, and that was it. It was like 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. It was well done. It was great. But my time would have been much more easily spent just watching that scene, because the rest of the movie is just garbage. And look, this is obviously for the huge action fan, the hardcore action aficionado, which is not me, I will admit. Yes, I like an action movie, but I like one that also has character development and whatever. A lot of things that are not present here. But look, I won't fail it for the one really solid action sequence, but everything about this movie otherwise is just trash. I leave Havoc with a D, but it is streaming now on Netflix if you are so inclined to check it out. But I would say just fast forward like an hour and, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. I should have time stamped it to check out that one cool scene. All right, thank you for watching Day Reviews It. I'll see you next time.